Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. I'm going to be relentless with the videos today. This is the third video I'm recording. I think it's going to be the first one out, but lots and lots of videos coming out today, so stay tuned. There's a whole lot to talk about. This first one is a news video. The portal, it stopped glowing this morning, so we had a couple of hours without it, but we got to talk about a bunch of stuff that's happening. The first one is tomorrow, the 14th of May. There will be an extra legendary event for Sacred Shard. So simple enough. If you summon a legendary, you get a second extra one from the same shard. That works once per event, and it doesn't count towards quest events or tournaments, so I don't believe there's any quest events or tournaments that will be actually overlapping this one. So what do I think of these events? This is a pretty good event if you are very close to Mercy. Now, the problem with Sacred Shards, there's a couple of problems with this event for Sacreds. I think this is a much better event with Ancient Shards than with Sacreds, personally. The Mercy system for Sacred Shards kind of sucks. So it's really still quite a big gamble whether you will actually get a legendary or not. You can, in theory, like, I could easily pull the 27 Sacreds and not get anything. And that could, obviously, that's 27 Sacreds down the drain. That sucks. I think the Ancients are much nicer because after 200 summons without a legendary, you get a stacking 5% increase, which means after 220 summons without a legendary, it's 100%. It's much easier to actually guarantee in these events. If you stockpile a lot of Ancients, you can get your extra legendary. It is much more of a gamble with Sacred Shards, so that's a bit of a downside. But if you have gone over 12 summons without a legendary, this could be a good event for you to go into. Compared to 2x events, it just gives you more legendaries in general overall, and very much so if you play around your Mercy timer. Same thing with Ancient Shards. If you stockpile shards, and you make sure you get the extra legendaries during these events, you, on average, get much more legendaries doing it than you do pulling in just 2x. Of course, 2x for Ancients, let's say, for example, will give you a lot more epic champions. With Sacreds, that doesn't really affect it, but it is a big gamble. The other big thing to consider for this, for me, I've obviously got plenty of Sacreds right now. I could do this, and I could not get it, but it'd be very likely that I would. For me, I think it is more worthwhile, generally, to simply stockpile your Sacreds for guaranteed events, right? I think the last guaranteed champion we had was probably about 20. I think it was Grandok Podrick, I think, for like 20 Sacreds. And I think he's absolutely worth it, honestly. I think that's a much better way to do. Rather than gambling and getting a random extra legendary that could be good, it could be absolutely terrible, and you don't know how much it's going to cost. The guaranteed champions, I'm going to be talking about one of the videos here today, but we know the power creep this year has been kind of insane, right? The power creep in Raid is nuts. You are definitely going to have, like, I can basically guarantee that there will be like a 20 Sacred Shard guaranteed legendary at some point in the next few months that's going to be crazy overpowered. Like, Grandok Podrick is just absolutely top tier. Like, I know I'm using him in Hydra. A lot of you guys are using him, and he's just an absolutely beast of a champion. There will be another champion just like that, I'm sure, coming out soon that will just smash it. We just had the Atharion 10x. He was one that I think a lot of us were speculating. You could easily have a guaranteed for him, and people probably would have gone for that as well. There's going to be way more champions like this over the next few months that are going to be really good. Some of them will definitely be guaranteed, at least one or two, right? It's going to happen. I would rather save for that. So that's my approach. Rather than take a big gamble on this event, you can absolutely do it. I know people will because they enjoy it. But I think the better play for a free-to-play or low spender that's not buying any Sacred Shards is usually to simply stockpile so that you're super safe for fusions and you're in a great position for any guaranteed legendary events, which are not guaranteed, but close to guaranteed, to eventually giving you some really good champions that can make a huge difference to your account. Like, a lot of the champions on my account that I use all the time have been guaranteed champions, honestly. So there you go. That would be my consideration there. Now, we also have got a summon pool on this week as well, and you can get some crystals for free. So we've got some. This is on the event tab on Plarium Play on the PC, right? The official client for the game. Sand Devil is going to give us some Prism crystals for free, and Dungeon Divers is as well. So if we jump over, we can actually see I'm doing the Sand Devil one right now. This is very much more so an end game thing. When you've got just a lot of, again, energy stockpiled, right? To actually do this much, it's pretty tricky to actually do it quickly. Like, I'm lucky I've pulled a second Newt and a Seafy, so I can do it, right? You know, but not everyone is so lucky. So I'm able to do this, but a lot of you won't. And it's during the middle of a fusion. So again, unless you're pretty end game or a spender, again, remember, it's not all, you know, there's the two power levels. There's spending money, but there's also just time spent in the game and spending time efficiently. Both increase your power, but this is pretty darn end game. But there are some crystals in there. And for dungeon divers, I presume it's this one. I actually haven't looked at this one yet. Yeah, again, there's 25 there, but this is, again, a monstrous amount of energy. It's already, for most people, going to be a huge chore to get to Terex the Restless. Getting these crystals is going to be really, really tough as well. And certainly, maxing out that Dungeon Divers while doing Sand Devil, which does not give you Dungeon Diver points, is really tricky. For me, I'm going to do the Sand Devil, and I'm not going to do the Dungeon Divers. I'm getting Terex, and I'm stopping. That's my plan. But it is available there. Each one of those is a single summon on this event. You have a 6% chance to get a Legendary, 94 to get Epic. So, yeah, I mean, this event continues to be pretty much just a big spender event, right? The amount of money you need to spend to have a decent chance to get a Legendary is just very, very high. Again, for most people, this is going to be an event that you simply cannot do. For endgame players, or low spenders that might have the energy or the wherewithal to go that far in Dungeon Divers and or Sand Devil, you get like one pull for free-ish. And yeah, it's okay. So Dune Lord, he's in there. Dune Lord Gregor. That's the draw of this. He's the Bannerlord faction unity. They seem to be doing this with all the faction unities. He's fine. I don't know too much about him. Like, I'm not too pushed about these faction unity champs. Like, they're pretty cool idea, but they're just so unobtainable, really. He seems obviously very, very good with Armans. Who's in there as well. He also seems pretty good with Valkyrie. And he could become more powerful as more barbarians are added. Same with any faction unity. They've got the potential to scale very well into the future. But this is the first place that he is available to get. I mean, Arman's in there is super powerful. Valkyrie's kind of unique. The others are kind of not that particularly good. The epics, even the free epics, like Alika is nice, but I wouldn't be going out of my way to necessarily get her, to be honest. Barak and the Fat is nice, but again, like, I wouldn't be like going crazy in Dungeon Divers for a chance at Farrak and the Fat. That just doesn't make sense to me. So I feel like this event is fairly forgettable. Like, like I said, I'll get my one free pull, see what I get. I like a Valkyrie or him. A second to Armans is obviously really good as well. Probably the big Krakens might go crazy for this to get more copies of Armans and to get a Dune Lord to go with them. That might be something. I genuinely actually don't know, and I don't really care. You know, whatever people want to do in Kraken Arena, let people do in Kraken Arena. I think for most people, this is, again, it's just a kind of shitty event, to be honest. So that's for my thoughts on that, and that is the news. So yeah, let me know what you are doing with all of this stuff. Yeah, for me, I'm waiting and stockpiling. Bearing in mind, we are going to have a summon rush at the weekend, where you can get the extra epic, and certainly for people that are skipping Dungeon Divers in this fusion and looking to get the extra epic from Summon Rush, to skip those instead, be really careful with that, with the Ear Sacreds. Make sure, like, I would be saving probably at least 10 Sacred Shards. If you're doing it with Sacreds, I would save at least 10 if I wanted to get that epic. But, like, who the heck knows? I would really play it safe. There's really no harm in stockpiling Sacreds. Like, you will not have enough Sacreds to do every one of these events and guaranteed and all the rest and fusions. Like, so skipping one of these extra legendary events, really there's not, unless you're a big spender, there isn't really an opportunity cost, right? Because you're going to have to skip one eventually. You just won't have the shards. So that's sort of my thoughts on it. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.